Welcome back to the Rhonda Swan Show. And welcome to season 3. This is the Woman Gone Wild series. And for the next 6 months, I'm going to be interviewing exceptional women that have taken a stand and completely gone wild, not only in their life, what they contribute to the world, but who they have been and what they've done in their business and how they're creating a new way of living in this world. It's 2021 and the world has gone feminine. In fact, there is a shift right now in the Earth's frequency and the feminine energy is rising, and these women are here to talk about it. In fact, they're also authors of the best-selling book, Women Gone Wild, The Fearless Guide to Feminine Living. And they're going to be sharing their stories and sharing with the world what they've done and what Women Gone Wild means to them. So without further ado, let's bring on the 4 authors that are joining me today. Welcome to the show, ladies. So great to have all of you here. I am just could not wait to start this series. I mean, this means so much to me, and I know so much to you because, many of us are mothers, we are caregivers, we're healers, and we are thought leaders in taking a stand to inspire more women that they can really truly have it all. They can go wild and break out of this, I guess it could be called the proverbial cage, right? Because the patriarchy has been holding tight to the way that things have been done, and we are saying no more. It's time to rise and time to bring back our feminine stand and to truly share our voice. And I am so honored to have all of you here to share your story and what you stand for. So I'm going to first start off with our first author, who is Sandra O'Brien. Sandra is a transformational transitions coach. Sandra's journey of radical self-discovery and self-empowerment after the end of her 25-year marriage led her to a mission to coach other women in life transitions. Sandra is a self-described knowledge broker who shares the lessons, resources, experiences, and insights she's gathered along the way on her successful transformative path. She helps women reclaim their power and transform their life by reconnecting them with aspects of themselves they may have forgotten, suppressed, or neglected. Sandra, it is so great to have you on the show. How are you, lovely lady?
Great. It's so good to see you again, Rhonda. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. And the last time I saw you was when this book idea started in January of 2019 here in Bali.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy that it's just been, it seems like yesterday, but then it seems like forever, doesn't it?
I know, it really, really does. And it's so fun to have you as one of the founding authors and one of the visionaries behind bringing this book to life. And we've taken a lot of time with it for that reason. And I know that your chapter and what you stand for is really why I wanted you to go first, because it's about that divine feminine rising. And so would you please share with everyone, Sandra, what is your chapter entailing? Like, what can the viewers and the readers, what are they going to be able to take from your chapter?
Well, my chapter is actually addressing masculine and feminine energies. And you may have been hearing a little bit more about that these days. It's kind of coming to the forefront. With the rise of the divine feminine, but we all have masculine and feminine energies within us. And typically, and again, I'm not speaking in specifics, but typically, women have a little bit more of the feminine energy and men have a little bit more of the masculine energy, but we have both. And sometimes circumstances require more of one than another. But the whole point of it is about balance, and it has not been balanced. It has been, the feminine energies really have been undervalued and somewhat suppressed in favor of masculine energies. And, the feminine energies are those of kind of like they're receiving, and it's collaboration, and it's a wisdom, and, the connection with nature, and kind of their timeless knowledge that we carry within our very genes. And men, it's typically, or I'll just say masculine energy is typically more of the action-oriented type of energy. It's getting things done. It's moving forward. It's the kind of hard-driving energy that we have seen in business over the past many years, that women have felt like in order to really be successful, they had to wear remember those big shoulder pad things?
Totally.
Big things I'm really dating myself now, but the suits, the man kind of suit, tailored suits with the big shoulder pads. It's like we were making ourselves into men in order to be successful. But the whole point of this is our very magic is in our feminine energy. It's incredibly powerful. So I talk about the importance of balance. I do talk a little bit about how to tap into your feminine energy and why it's important. So it's something that you'll be hearing more of, because it's something that's happening in the collective right now, is the rise of that divine feminine energy and more acknowledgement of its worth and its importance.
Wow. Sandra, I mean, this is such an important topic. In fact, when I met you, and you knew me over a year and a half ago, right? Like, I was always really acting heavily in my masculine energy, because I was like, I'm a driving force. And I realized recently, in fact, from a lot of lessons I learned from you and from your book as well, that, I was brought up in this corporate environment. And in order for me to succeed, I had to start creating this framework around the rules that I was told that I had to work within. And I found myself burning out. I found myself stressed. And it wasn't until I actually quit my corporate job and started to really, tap into really what makes me work. And the balance is so vitally important. And I didn't even realize that I was, really leveraging more of my masculine side than allowing the beauty to blossom in my feminine energy, which, as that started to happen, and I've recently done a lot of work on myself to really allow that to bloom. And what's really beautiful is that our company, my business, everything about my life has also blossomed. It's not with force, right? It's with that compassionate energy. And so this is such an important piece of what's taking place. And I know our viewers are just going to get and our readers so much from just hearing this again, whether you know it or you are learning it for the first time. It's so important for us as women to take back our sovereignty and to really lean back into that divine feminine energy. And so I just absolutely love your chapter, Sandra. Can you share with everyone, what does that Women Gone Wild mean to you? Like, what does that really mean to you?
For me, it's coming back to our very essence as women. It is really reclaiming those energies and reclaiming that for ourselves and for our lives. I think you had a perfect example of what happens when you're unbalanced. And this is really, really typical when women, and I'm just using the term women and men, but when women become too much in their masculine and it's not a natural place for them to be,
right?
There are some women that just naturally have more masculine energy, and that's fine. We all have, different, variations of it. But when someone is too much in their masculine energy and it's depleting, and, I used to be a litigation attorney, and that's a pretty hard charging, male-driven energy to be in. And I found I was stressed. I wasn't sleeping. I was completely drained. And, at the time, of course, I didn't understand that I was so far out of balance. And of course, feminine energies at the time weren't really anything anybody was talking about or valued. So really, Women Gone Wild is coming back to our very essence. It's our connection with our timeless knowledge that we carry within ourselves, our connection with nature, our natural creativity, our passion, our sensuality, the receiving, the flow, the natural flow. And I think that's connecting with nature and natural elements, but those are actually embodied within the feminine.
Wow, it's such a big conversation, and I know that everyone that's watching is really starting to feel that. And when, as you were speaking, like, I was really feeling into that energy, and it's so interesting how we start to look back and realize, like, wow, in order for us to make it, we had to shift ourselves. But now the new earth. We're moving into this new earth, and these old, paradigms, these old business models, these old ways are going away, and women are ready to really showcase, what their truest essence is. And I can't agree with you more. Like, this wildness is about us truly reclaiming our crown, which I know is also something that it's a book that you're writing, and it's about that reclaiming of our crown. So will you share, Sandra, I always love asking this, like, if you then were to share with that little Sandra when you were younger, what you know now, what would you tell yourself, that young Sandra that was just trying to come into this world, right? And into a new framework that wasn't present like it is now? What would you tell that little Sandra?
Well, I think the biggest advice that I would have for anyone, and it's not necessarily a masculine and feminine energies kind of slant to it, but know thyself, to really know yourself, your values, who you are, what you stand for. It's your guiding compass. And it will help you when you come back to that center of knowing yourself. Everything else revolves around that, and you're able to make life decisions much more easily. And accompanying, getting to know yourself is meditation. That's how you really, really tap into it, is to allow yourself silence and quiet, to listen to your inner voice, especially as women, especially the feminine. We have intuition there that is magnificent. It is one of our beautiful magics. And you can't hear it unless you're quiet and you give it space to come forth.
Oh, it's so beautiful. I literally just got back from 5 days in nature, pure silence, water fasting, and the transmissions and the downloads and the connection that I had to Mother Earth, to Source, to our ancestors was just magic. It was like my pure medicine was coming out, and I was like, wow, like, it's unbelievable. So what you're saying, I know every woman's going to resonate with that. And if it hasn't yet, don't worry, listen, feel into it, because this is your time to rise, sisters. And it's just so beautiful. So Sandra, what is like your big mission, and what's next for you? Like, what can everyone really look forward to hearing from you?
Well, I have had a mission and to help other women who are in transition. You mentioned as part of my introduction that, I left a 25-year marriage, and I embarked on my own journey of radical self-discovery. And it truly was an amazing journey. And that's why I want to write this book, is because I'm hoping it will help other women who are also in transition get back and connect with those parts of themselves that may have been suppressed or forgotten or ignored. And in particular, I talk about getting in touch with your divine, with your feminine, with your warrior, and with your goddess. And we have all of those aspects as women inside of us that, we've either forgotten or neglected, perhaps. So my mission is to really help women, particularly those in transition, reclaim their personal power and, reclaim those aspects of themselves that they may have lost along the way, and get back to their own radical self-empowerment. So yes, I'm writing a book called Reclaim Your Crown, about reclaiming your own sovereignty over your life.
Oh my goodness. Thank you, Sandra, so much. I'm so excited to launch this book with you and to be standing and with my crown next to all of the other women authors. You are amazing, and I truly appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, next we're going to be introducing our next author, and her name is Kathy Gibson. Kathy is also the founder of the Catchy Consulting Incorporated company. With over 10 years of experience in the space, Kathy is an advocate and expert on pressing economic, social, and technology issues. As a working mother of 2 wonderful children, Kathy has had the opportunity to pursue the true passions in her life, motherhood, and operating her own successful business, and bringing the gap between the spiritual and corporate work life to herself, her clients, and when appropriate, and the larger ecosystems of the world. She is the president and CEO of Catchy Consulting and the senior project manager of and for the HR Tech Group's Diversity and Inclusion Tech Project, where one of the key legacies of the project will be the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Resource Hub, a free online site for Canada's technology industry that houses more than 350 plus D&I resources and tools. Kathy Gibson, so amazing to have you here on the show. Thank you for joining me. How are you, darling?
Oh, I'm so good. Thank you so much, Rhonda. I'm so excited to be here tonight. And honestly, Sandra, like, I feel so humbled, and I feel like you're speaking my truth, like 100%, just my own journey, having, progressed through my career working in video games, which is a hugely dominated industry, of course, by men, and having to, find my own way and my own path, and figuring out that interplay between my own femininity and being in that masculine energy, which is a beautiful energy, but also, very active, proactive, doing, being, and like just that journey around finding my own feminine voice has been so profound. And I'm so excited to read your chapter. I can't tell you.
It's so fun, right, Kathy? Like, all of us were in this book together. We've been working on it for a year and a half, and we're all like so excited to read what our other sisters are writing, because
I know, we talk all the time, and I'm like, I just want to know. I feel like I'm going to learn so much from the book, and I feel so honored to be, a part, to have, a chapter amongst these powerhouse women that are just phenomenal. So
it's so beautiful.
I'm so excited.
I'm so excited too, Kathy, to learn about you, because, you've really brought a very important aspect inside of our, this Woman Gone Wild unit, which is really about diversity and really working and making sure that, everyone's included, because, there tends to be not only a balance of feminine and masculine energy, but there tends to be also a balance of diversity in so many different companies and so many different spaces. And so, I love what you bring, and you really hold everyone accountable for that by always reminding us, look, does this include diversity? Where does diversity come in to play with these decisions that we're making? And, I know those that are watching, like, this is the stuff that we're doing. Like, we're doing a lot of inner work, and you've been guiding that and helping bring so much of that to our light, because, women, if we're not a women of color or a depth of diversity, right? Like, I'm American Indian, I'm Italian. However, I'm still a white woman that was raised in America. And so I haven't seen, nor have I experienced a lot of the suppression and the, the issues that women of diversity actually go through. And so I really love the work that you're doing. I applaud you for that. And we're very grateful to have you part of this, this book and this movement. So I want to thank you before I even ask you the first question.
I feel so just honored to be a part of it. And I'm really happy to share that lens, because it's really important to me. And I really dive deep into the work around diversity, equity, and inclusion. And it's sort of what's driving a lot of it's a huge motivator for me to help lift other underrepresented population voices who don't have the opportunity necessarily. So I've been on my own personal journey, and just so incredibly humbled by what I've personally learned, and understanding my own power and own privilege as a white cisgendered woman, while also navigating through, some often, male dominated industries, working in technology, certainly,
right.
But also just like feeling really grateful, because I've had the opportunity to work with a lot of not-for-profits. And so I've worked with like the First Nations Technology Council or Indigenous Works and the Immigrant Employment Council and Minerva, which, specializes in women's issues and leadership. And so I love that, and community for, in terms of LGBTQ, SIA,
So you would say that probably
like,
this is really part of your mission, because that would have been really the leading question. Like, is this really part of your mission, to bring diversity to light into different businesses, into inclusion of all sorts of backgrounds? Share that, like your mission deeper.
Yeah, exactly. And I felt really drawn from a really early age to understand and do my own, there's so much learning every day. I learn something new, and I just feel like it is our responsibility as humans on this planet to understand our fellow humans. And so having understanding and building empathy and understanding the intersectionality between, someone's potential challenges that they've encountered throughout their life is, I think, a really important exercise that we need to do in terms of educating ourselves. But also, I think where my background's a little bit unique is that, yes, I've got this sort of specialization around technology and workforce development, and I presented at parliamentary hearings around different issues, but I'm trying to bridge some of my spiritual work with the corporate world in terms of driving home some further understanding and building off that empathy and being like, okay, what can we do? How do we action this? And so because they're often, they can be considered kind of lofty goals, like, oh yeah, we'll improve representation, for these underrepresented populations. But it's like, what do you do tactically to actually do that? And it's really complicated, and people make mistakes, and it's hard. It's messy.
Well, you know what I love about this actually is like what you just said made me really realize something. That is your balance of your masculine and feminine as well, right? So you can get super tactical, but your heart is leading you to making this move for them. And this is a brilliant space that you're in. And I love that mission, because more and more of us need to be aware, because I think it's like the more awareness that we can help create, the bigger the change can be. And I think it's really brilliant that you're doing that, Kathy. What would you share then? Why did you say yes to this book? Like, what did when you heard Women Gone Wild, because I know we had an issue, you're like, what? Women Gone Wild? I don't know. That doesn't sound right. But then we started to work through what we're doing with it. So
yeah.
Why did you say yes? And what does it mean to you?
Honestly, I feel like there's just this incredible group of souls that are involved in this book. And I was drawn in by the energy and these phenomenal women who are doing incredible things. And for me, I just kind of like take a moment of gratitude often and say like, wow, I get to be part of this. And honestly, like if my entrepreneurship journey, which is really odd and kind of crazy, help someone in terms of just finding their own path or their own voice or like a passion around the work, then that's wonderful. So why wouldn't I? And I just feel like there is a lot of value in terms of the incredible stories of these women, the ones, that so I'm in awe.
Yeah. Well, and I appreciate that, because I know that you're really representing an archetype of a woman that is watching and like, wow, I'm really into what she's into, or I really appreciate it. And in the same space. And this is what I love about the diversity of the women that are here, not only ethnically, but also like their walk of life, their experience, their age, and where they are right now in their life transition or in their life changes. And I think this is what's so beautiful about it. Will you share more deeply then what your chapter is about and what you're writing about, so that everyone can get it even deeper?
I'm like, it's funny because I haven't read it in a long time, to be honest. I'm like, I wrote it literally in the middle of the night one night, and I was like, and there it is. So I'm kind of like, I'm curious.
I can't wait to read my own chapter.
It's just spirit driven. We're good. So yeah. I mean, I feel like I spoke a little bit just about my own personal journey. I think I was super very lucky. I grew up both my parents are originally from Dublin, Ireland. I'm a first generation Canadian. My older brother was even born there. And I grew up in a household that, traditionally, certainly my parents grew up Irish Catholic and, very, very, I think, a little bit regimented around what, their religious practices looked like when they were growing up and whatnot, and Catholicism. And, I feel really blessed that I was also born into this family that my father is a healer and he's a Reiki master, and he sort of really found his own path despite, having grown up from this quite unique circumstances in Dublin, Ireland. And so, I've benefited from his knowledge over the years, and the fact that, I was attending Catholic school myself, and, I'd come home with friends and there would be a massive statue of Buddha in the front entrance of our home, and every weekend we'd go visit a different temple. And I feel like at an early age, I was afforded an opportunity to be able to explore different cultures, different religions, and different, understandings of the way the world operates. And so that sort of early, exposure, I would say, really helped guide my own path. And I practice a variety of modalities myself. I have been heavily involved in shamanic work for a number of years. And I do a lot of breath work, and I do a lot of yoga, and I do a variety of things that I think help ground and balance me. And I think that helps balance my approach also with my clients and the work that I'm doing in terms of how I deliver it and how I connect with people individually, within organizations, within like cities, federally. Like it's been kind of a fun road.
I love it. Wow. Well, I'm excited to learn more about your chapter. I have one last question for you. If you were to ask, or share with your younger self, right? That's such a big question. What would you tell the young Kathy then, what you really know now?
Yeah, I think similar to Sandra, I think it, leaning into my authentic self, kind of throwing down the not just needing to please others or do things for the standardized, like, oh, this is what you do in your life to be successful, I think was pretty profound for me. I don't think I also appreciated my privilege and the opportunities afforded to me when I was younger. And so having better awareness, I think now brings so much more gratitude to the work that I do, that I've had this opportunity. And so I think that those are some of the key messages that I would kind of share with my younger self. If, just honestly, like gratitude and don't worry, don't be afraid of not being taken seriously.
Wow, it's such great advice. And we're budding this new generation, right? So all of our messages that we have today will really help inspire and move this new generation into working and living in this new earth, and realizing that the old ways that we learned really are not working. And it's time for us to realize that and share that wisdom. Kathy, thank you so much. I'm so excited to read your chapter, and I know others are as well. And I truly appreciate you so much.
I'm so grateful. And Rhonda, Rhonda's Swan.
So good.
Amazing.
I love it. All right, guys. So let's go next. We've got our third author, Yamilca Rodriquez. Yamilca Rodriquez is a conscious brand experience leader. Yamilca is best known as a former brand leader at the most significant brand building company globally, the Procter & Gamble company. For over decades, she has been helping brands and individuals create unforgettable brand experiences. She's been featured in Forbes magazine, The Voice Tribune, The Courier Journal, Today's Women, and Style Blueprint. She is a 3-time #1 bestselling author of Women Who Boss Up, Ignite Entrepreneur, and Women Gone Wild. Her clients include the actor Sam Humphrey, and she's worked on billion-dollar brands like SK II, Olay and Crest 3D White DDF, to name a few. She was a TEDx speaker and has spoken nationally and internationally. She's been nominated for the Most Admired Women in Beauty category for 2 years in a row. She was president of Prospancia, the National Society of Hispanic MBAs, dedicated to increasing the number of Hispanic MBAs. She's done everything from teaching yoga to teaching MBA students design and thinking. Yamilca Rodriquez, you have got a plate of things that you've done, young lady. So wonderful to have you on the show. How are you?
I am so good, Rhonda. It's so nice to see you and be here with these amazing, incredible women.
Oh my gosh, right? Like here you were another one that we were sitting in Bali on the edge of the sea, and we're, talking about brands, we're talking about expansion, we're talking about what we can do more as women, and boom, this book pops up. You're one of the founding authors as well. And, it's such an honor to be able to create this, this movement together and to get to this point. We're finally going to launch this book. So, it's going to happen, and it's going to be so big, and we're excited. So why don't you share with everyone then, Yamilca, what is it that they can expect from you, and what are you writing about? What is that chapter going to bring for your audience?
Yes, so I talk about high achievers are big adapters. And the reason why I say that is I grew up in a family where knowledge was critical, and it was kind of really valued. And so it was a little bit difficult for me to really not be anything else, but like I wanted to study, I wanted to educate myself. I started wanting to read at the age of 3 and all those things. But as I grew older, I really started to see my feminine side, right? I had a mother that was not at all makeup and dresses and heels. And that's all I wanted to do. I wanted to be in fashion and dress up and do these things. But that difference or that contrast between being smart and being passionate and loving fashion was kind of not accepted. And so it took me a long time to be able to adapt to that. And I think what really happened to me was my life. I traveled and lived in different countries. My father did his PhD in California, and, then we moved to a different place in Venezuela, and then we went back and forth, and now it came back and forth. And so that movement and being able to adapt to those different cultures, to the circumstances, and to the environments really helped me integrate that femininity and that lover side of myself.
Yeah, I think it's so true. Like if you think about like movement and constant change, we really do. We learn different skills, and it allows us to really look back. I know now as as adults, it's like, wow, all these things that happened to me, I wish I would have known what I do know now, right? Because like understanding adaptability, like when we're younger, we tend to go, oh, why is this happening to me? I keep changing. I don't have friends anymore. I don't have this. And we get so wise through experiences. So that really then, leads me then to that question. Like if you then were to tell your younger self, because I know so many young women are reading this and they're watching this, what would you tell them that have gone through what you've done? Like your cultural, your family's moving around, your father's moving around, your family's moving around, and you might have felt lost at a lot of times, and you had to really figure out how to tap into that, both of those sides of that coin of both energies and how to really adapt to it. What would you tell that young Yamilca and the new generation of what they should do and what you know now?
Yeah. So one of the things that I would say to her is be comfortable with change, accept things that are going to happen to you. Be okay with meeting new people because you're going to love it. Be okay with traveling and discovering new places. Be okay with your passion. Be okay showing the fun side of yourself, right? Everything doesn't have to be about knowledge and understanding and learning and being smart and all those things. I think sometimes our circumstances and the people we see as heroes, we want to be like them, but it's okay. You don't have to. Just feel it, be intuitive, and just be authentic to your feelings and your emotions.
I love that. It's so big, right? Because you're right. Like we think, I did the same. I thought I had to be perfect and the smartest and this, and then I didn't have as much time being fun. I was always known that I was so serious all the time. It's like, wow, have fun with yourself. I think that's so big because there are many cultures and families where these children are raised in this very structured, very tight upbringing, and these kids deserve to be free and blossom, especially girls. They need to feel into themselves and be okay if they're tired today and if their energies are low, right? Our body runs like the moon. It's in cycles, and allow that and to feel that and to breathe into that. And I think it's really a brilliant advice. So Yamilca, then what does Women Gone Wild mean to you? Like, why did you say, yes, we're doing this?
Well, first of all, because there's some incredible women in this book. That was the number one thing. And, and really being in that feminine space with women gives me so much energy, and it's about commitment, really, and going for it and never stopping and open to possibilities, things that are going to happen to you. I feel like anything is possible because so many things has happened to me, and I've been able to do things I never thought I could do, like write a chapter in a book. Now I'm in 3 books, right?
Yeah.
And so Women Gone Wild really means much more than the word wild, because it's about us being able to show our true self, right? Using our superpowers and really bringing those forward. And the more that you show your authentic self, the more you attract the right people into your life. So that's what I would say is Women Gone Wild.
Yes. Woo-hoo. I'm raising my hands up to that one because it's so beautiful. And I couldn't agree with you more. Yamilca, you are so dynamic, and you've been such an amazing role model to not only myself, to my daughter when we met you, and just who you are as a human being, like contributing back your experiences to this world, to other women around the world. It is so seen and so full of gratitude for you. And I really, truly appreciate you. I cannot wait to read your chapter either. Thank you, Yamilca, so much. All right, now everyone, we have our final author of this interview series. Now, it's a little interesting for this introduction because this one is someone that I actually know quite well. I'm probably about 14 years now in a few months. She's a very dynamic young woman. In fact, she's my daughter, Hanalei Swan. And, Hanalei is coming on as an author to really represent the younger generation. However, Hanalei's experiences, I think, hold much wisdom. And when Hanalei was actually 8 years old, my husband and I are 7, actually. My husband and I asked her a very different question. And we asked her, Hanalei, what is it that you want to be now? Instead of that question, what do you want to be when you grow up? And we didn't know that this would be such an impactful question. And we saw it in her eyes, like, I can do something now. And it shifted inside of her. And Hanalei, started really thinking. It took her a long time to actually answer us. And it took about like a month later. And she finally went, you know what? Like really, truly said it. Because she had a couple really good answers right away. We got a beautiful video and she did it. But she said, I really want to be a fashion designer. I love art. We're like, okay, well then you could do that now. Did you know that you could do it now? And she's like, really? Well, then within a year, she started sketching and she was drawing these different designs, and she built a company when she was 10 years old, launched her first company. It's an eco-friendly, conscious, fashion label. And she's now, writing a book, and she's in this current book. She wrote her first book with me when she was 11, and she's had a lot of entrepreneurial experiences. However, as now Hanalei's 14, and we're going to let her share, we're starting to see that her message to her younger self might be a little different than probably it was when she started, and that a lot of what she's doing or what she did then was also a lot of influence from myself and my husband. And it's so beautiful to see this development, which is also why Hanalei, we want to have her as this author, because she's now developing into her own self. So Hanalei Swan, welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. Good to see you again.
So good to see you again. So, Hanalei, why don't you share with us, like, what is your bigger mission, right? Like, what is that real true mission and why that you've got, and where are you coming from by being in this book? And just please deeply share, because when I said that, I think a lot of what you've experienced and created as a fashion designer, an author, a speaker around the world, flown all over the world to speak, a lot of that may have not been your initial choice. However, I think that experience could have now created so much bigger advice for you, for others as well. But would you share what is your part of your bigger mission?
For me, what my bigger mission is, I feel like I've always wanted to inspire. Growing up in such an entrepreneurial family and constant change going around, I've been able to see the world in a different light. I've been able to see the world not through a textbook, but with my own eyes, being able to meet different cultures, being able to be in different spaces. I've been able to travel to over 56 countries and counting. And I feel like looking around and meeting so many incredible people, one of the things I've always wanted to do is inspire my generation and girls like me who may have not have been asked, what do you want to be now? May have not have been put that question into their mind. So letting them know that they can truly do anything. And I want to be a living proof that living by what you love is something that we can all do. And we don't have to go into the same constant routine of, oh, I have to get a job, I have to go to college, I have to get married, I have to do all these things, like what our world thinks we should grow up in. And then it's like, after I retire, I can finally maybe paint or do something that I've always wanted to do. And so I think what my biggest mission is to inspire this generation to take action on what they love so they don't have to fall in the routine of what other people think they should do. And then for me, just being able to be happy, being able to be a leading role in like loving what I do and finding every little thing in my life so joyous and being able to create from my heart and from my mind and from my soul to be able to put that out to the world. So that's my
It's so beautiful, Hanalei. I mean, obviously you're my daughter. However, every time I hear you speak, you do inspire me because of where you come from, and your words truly come from your heart. Would you say that if you were to give yourself advice when you were that 7 or 8, when we asked, what do you want to be now? Would you give yourself different advice than what you already took? Because I know that question does come up. Did you do all these experiences where you pushed into being an entrepreneur, and how was that experience for you? Would you share the advice that you would give to yourself and really share your views on that? Because I think it's really important as I'm growing as your mom and being able to really see how you're growing into your own truest self is like, would that have been the advice that you'd give yourself?
So if I were to give myself advice, what I would say is don't let anyone else define you. Don't let anyone put a label or define who you are as a person. Because we can get into a constant routine of hearing what other people think of us and putting that label onto ourselves. I am this, I am that. We can take these labels and put ourselves in a box, lock us in. And one thing that I always want to do is not let myself be defined by something that someone else says. So with advice, don't let anyone else define yourself. Never put yourself in a box. Always be open to new things, new ideas, and let yourself be. Just be. Really, I think it's that simple in living life, is just to be who you are. And remember to always love yourself for who you are, no matter what changes you go through, what experience you have. Always love yourself through your heart and through. Because when we start losing ourselves and we start not liking ourselves and hating ourselves, negativity can be brought in. When we put that negative energy out, more negativity comes our way. So when we put love and receive love, so much more love can come our way.
Oh, sister, daughter, star being, you are just beautiful and amazing. And I truly appreciate you. You teach me every single day. Hanalei, what does Woman Gone Wild really mean to you? Like, really, like, what does that mean to you? This feminine guide to fearless living? Like, where does that sit in your soul?
I really think that Women Gone Wild is such an incredible thing because it's a collective of women coming together as one to truly share a message of empowerment, confidence, self-healing, self-love, and so many different things. And so I think to truly be a woman who has gone wild, a woman who is going wild, I think it's all about being your truest self and living in your truth. Because to be a woman, to be someone who is feminine, we must step into ourselves, step into our love, step into our light. And that's how we're able to inspire so many more people. Because the people who are in this book especially, we are all finding our ways to step into ourselves as our truest self and light. And I think that Women Gone Wild is so important for our next generation of women, girls, and feminine leaders to be able to inspire them to take action on what they love and to know that they have a support group of people who are actually doing it. They can look at someone and say, wow, I can be like that person because it has been done, and can pave the way for new leaders and new people who are stepping into their power.
Oh, thank you, Hanalei. I mean, I love that statement, right? That success leaves clues. And there are so many women of our past, our ancestors that have done it. They're carrying this message and this medicine that we can really learn from. And you are one of those amazing, beings that have channeled that and realized like what it truly is. Because I see so many young women, they're getting stuck in this society of Instagram and this, and I have to be this person, I have to do this. And you're a true guidance and a mirror for others to say, no, it's okay to have a different size. Like, with your fashion label, your women that were models, you didn't put any makeup on them. They were very natural. All of your clothing that you have designed and are creating has been eco-friendly. And it's like, wow, this is a true statement that says young people care. And you're like receiving those messages from, our ancestors and women that have, walked before us. And this is so important for young women and young girls your age and teens to really embrace that. So I thank you, Hanalei Swan, so much for your chapter. I know it's encompassing all of what you just spoke of. And I'm so excited to allow others to read it and for me to read it too, because I just read one of your other books chapters last night, and it's just amazing what you're creating. So thank you. I love you so dearly. Well, everyone, I hope you truly got so much out of this series of the Women Gone Wild interview series. Imagine, yourself right now, you might be like one of these women transitioning or really focusing deeply on that change and diversity, or have gone through a lot of change in their life and have shifted into who she is today, or a young woman who is seeing already through the lens of our ancestors and the wisdom that has been carried through our lineage and coming forward to be an example of what it means to be a woman, but more importantly, what it means to be a woman that has gone completely wild, broken out of her cage, and is taking a stand for other women and sharing her voice. I cannot wait for this book to launch. In fact, you'll learn more about the book. We are launching the book at the end of August. So keep an eye out. You'll be able to be part of that pre-launch, and we will be having a Women Gone Wild live summit at the end of September. So keep watching. And if you are a woman that has gone wild, please, not only in our comments, but please share this and use hashtag Women Gone Wild, because we can't wait to reach out to you and connect to you. So everyone, thank you for being here. This is Rhonda Swan signing off. We'll see you on the next show. Bye, everyone.